Hello, and thank you all for joining me today for this introduction to FileCatalyst products and the benefits over using FTP and benefits of using file transfer acceleration over FTP or other products. So before I get started, I have a little poll here that I just launched for you. Let me know where you stand in those questions, if you don't mind. This will help me to sort of figure out how much in depth I can go, or how much more broader I can stay on the subject matter. Well, thank you all for answering. Thank you all for answering my poll. It looks like some of you already heard of us. Some of you may already have used us as well. But I'll try to keep it fairly general, so you have a good idea of what we do at the end of the half an hour, 40 minutes we're going to be talking together. So without any further delay, I do have demos. I will be showing you all our product interfaces during this webinar, so please stand by. There's a few slides I want to go through to give you the basics before I jump into the slides. If you do have any questions during my presentation, feel free to use the GoToWebinar questions, and I will get to your questions at the end of my presentation. So you can just go and punch in your questions right in the chat, in the questions pane of GoToWebinar. All right. So what do we do? Well, first of all, we're a company based on that specializes in moving large amount of data over the internet. We have built our own algorithms and our own protocols. Our own protocol that is UDP based. For accelerating the movement of data. In a nutshell, we can move the files as fast as it is possible really to do on your line. We provide simple tools for both ingest and distribution of media or large files on the internet. We work with your existing infrastructure, so meaning that this is all software based. It's a software-based approach wherever you just install the software on your own systems and use your own network connectivity. So there's no cost per user or cost per gig transferred or anything like that, because everything is run right in-house. And we provide all the tools to manage and monitor your system afterwards. So if there is a problem with the transfer, we believe that all media movement or large file movement is mission critical for our clients. And therefore we provide the tools to monitor and manage that deployment. And finally, we also do have integrations with several large other cloud vendors out there. So if you're considering migrating some of your servers onto the cloud service, we have an integration to help you move your data into Amazon S3, OpenStack, Windows Azure, and some other vendors to either ingest or distribute the data to the cloud. We have been in the business for over 15 years. We have done several high-profile events in the media industry, and also several high-profile events in other verticals as well. We've actually won not 2 but 3 Emmy Awards up to now for our work. Some of this work was for Olympic Winter Games at Sochi last year, 2 years ago, and some of it was, one of the Emmys was for actually the category of secure accelerated file movement over IP. So we do have 3 Emmys now for all this work, and we do have a quite several large customers, a lot of many large and medium customers using us to move the data. So to get to get a little bit more technical, let's go here right away into the glaze factor of technology and explain you why we're faster, because this is one of the questions. I've used to have, I think, like 5-6 slides to explain how come we're faster. I boiled it down to one. So I'm trying to get us more and more efficient to explain why we're faster. So everything really has to go back to a protocol called TCP. So anything on the internet today is based on TCP. TCP has been around since the 70s. It's a protocol that has been designed really for slower bandwidths and not for global networks. So it's good for the internet, for browsing, for sending emails, small amount of data. TCP is a very good protocol. But once you start moving large amount of data, like bulk data, TCP starts being TCP performance starts to suffer. And it's because of the RTT here, or round trip time, that it takes for a packet of data to go from the source to the destination and back again. Just to give you an example, the delay that you will see on the network is comparable to, let's say, if you're watching live TV, and the announcer in the studio will ask a question to the reporter out in the field, and because the data travels over satellite, there sometimes could be a second delay or a few seconds delay before they can hear the question. And that's what I'm talking about. It's the delay on the network. The delay is present in every single network. There's no network out there that doesn't have latency. There might be a network with lower latency, but every network will have latency because the speed of light is what it is. It takes about roughly 2 seconds for a beam of light to go around the world, and there's just no way around it. So this gives you an idea of the delay that you might be seeing on the network. So TCP, in a nutshell, sends a little bit of packet, a small packet of data to the destination, and then waits for an acknowledgement. Then it takes and sends the next packet of data and waits for an acknowledgement. And this process is very serial. You can see always there's one packet of data traveling in the network, and the process is slow and not efficient when you have the delay. If you know, of course, if source and destinations are in the same local area network, well, then you'll get good speeds, and that's why you use TCP to copy files, let's say, from your Windows Samba drives. This is all TCP based. Or you're using FTP, you don't see that delay or the performance issues. But as soon as the source and the destination are further apart, let's say 500 kilometers, 1,000, 5,000 kilometers, then that performance of TCP drops almost exponentially, I would say. So in our approach is, we'll send a whole bunch of data using UDP, not just one packet, but we'll send many of these packets at the same time. And on the destination, we don't wait for an acknowledgement for every single packet. We just listen to exceptions. So as we're sending the data, we're going to send many of these packets, and on the destination, the receiver is just going to raise their hand if there is a problem. So this is called, it's called basically a negative acknowledgement. So we only acknowledge errors, not every single file. And that's what allows us to be really much faster than TCP. The algorithms all around our UDP are actually patented. My slide is not up to date, but it's patented in the US and Canada and EU. So these algorithms are very efficient. We can get transfer rates up to 10 gigabits with encryption on just regular standard hardware. We don't need anything special to do it. So the algorithms around tracking all these packets and sending and resending are very efficient. And once again, we're very good on that latency and on those links where you have latency and you have a fat pipe or fast network pipe. Where the algorithms are extremely well designed for a multi-core CPU, and that's why we can take advantage of those multi-core CPU, especially if you're building your first FileCatalyst server. We'll consider maybe adding another CPU for our system, not just a single. The speed improvement will be visible right away. And all of this, of course, is a software-based approach. It runs on any virtual cloud system out there today on the market. So before so this is, you have an idea how it works. We send the files over UDP. There's the second part of the problem here that we have to solve with using our custom algorithms is that we have to listen to the background traffic, network traffic. So if, for example, we're transferring data and we're happy where, let's say you have a 100 megabit line and we're sending at 99.5 megabits, we're very happy. But now let's say if a TCP connection comes through, what do we do with that? Well, with our approach is that we will slow down for any network background traffic and give it a chance. We will make it slower, but we'll make it reachable. That's the idea, is that you want to maximize the bandwidth, but not necessarily, kill your link with just the file transfer. You want to allow some other network applications to also use this network, and that's what we're doing. We're very good at that. And all of this actually is also very configurable, so you can set up your aggression level and say how much bandwidth you want FileCatalyst to take and how aggressively you want it to be not releasing it to other applications. So this is some things you can do, but we're a good network citizen, and we do play very well with other TCP connections, making them slower but still workable. And once again, the congestion control in our system is very highly tuned. That means that from one megabit up to a gigabit, it works out of the box. Like there's nothing really to fine tune or anything, unless you have some kind of very special network or maybe a satellite link. Maybe then a little bit of tweaking might be required, but under normal circumstances, there's nothing to do. Once you're moving into a faster than a gigabit, now we have a little bit different problems. So here is an example for you what it means in real life in timing. So if you want to send a file from Amsterdam to London with 50 milliseconds latency between the line, and it's a 10 gig file, it will take, oh, sorry. I'm sorry here. Let me just delete these animations. Okay. So if you wanna start a file transfer, if you want to start a file transfer with a regular FTP, this 10 gig file will take you an hour and a half to transfer on a 1 gig connection. With FileCatalyst, this will take you a minute 23. Let's take a more extreme example here. New York City to Buenos Aires. Now you have almost over 5,000 miles to travel, and now you have a delay of 150 milliseconds, and we transfer this file in 3 hours and 6 minutes. Sorry, we transfer this file still 1 minute 23, and FTP is 3 hours and 6 minutes. Same thing for LA to Mumbai, and the examples just grow and grow. Like the further the distance, the faster the link, the better performance you'll get. Interestingly, what you can say if I would put FTP, if I give you an example here where RTT is 0, which is not possible because even in local area network you'll have a millisecond, but let's say you have 0, then FTP and FileCatalyst will probably give you a very similar speed, probably in the range of a minute and a half. But this is in perfect world, which is, of course, doesn't exist. 10 gig speeds, the same idea, but now see the speeds of FTP are still very high, but with FileCatalyst now we're in 8.4 seconds on the 10 gig line. Once again, this is because of the delay that I explained before. So this is here the example of some of our clients, what they have to say. We've worked with NBC Sports. Sorry, here, 1 second. Let me. Okay, so let's get to the demos here. That's really what I wanted to talk. So in a nutshell, so we have the reliability, the speed, the encryption, the automation of file transfer, which I'm going to get to you in like 2 minutes, and integration with different MAM solutions and other media solutions, media production solutions. And then we have we're integrated with a number of cloud storage providers. So our portfolio is really three products. We have the FileCatalyst Direct, which is really the acceleration portion. Everything revolves around FileCatalyst Direct. We have the FileCatalyst Workflow, which is the web-based, anything on the web. You want to transfer files on the web, you have the portal here for transferring files on the web, and Central, which is for monitoring. So on the direct side, it's the acceleration. Here's the idea how the direct is deployed. So we follow really a similar pattern to what FTP is using. So it's a client-server type of deployment, where on the one hand side you have the FileCatalyst server attached to your local storage, or if it's on the cloud, then it'll be attached to a cloud storage, but then the FileCatalyst server will be running on some cloud service. But in the case of local system, it's a local server attached to a storage. All the paths can be accessible via UNC, so just // notation. And then you have your internet connectivity. Once again, it's simplified. There will be firewalls here and DMZs and everything, but I just want to keep it simple for the illustration. And then you have different client applications that can either upload or download files from the server. So for example, Hot Folder is an automation client. Wake up at 1 a.m., find new files here and push them to my storage. Wake up at 5 a.m., check for files remotely and download them. So it's all the client apps are bidirectional, meaning that you can do upload and download. And of course you have Central here for monitoring in between the nodes. Desktop app, this is really our comparable to a FileZilla client. It's just a basic two-pane window for transferring files back and forth between the server. Browser-based, well, here we've made quite a bit of development on the browser side. So for example, now we have something called a transfer agent. The transfer agent allows you to, it's a browser plugin that end user gets just prompted inline once they first visit a web page that requires it, and they have an inline installer where they can run the installation of transfer agent right there on the spot, and then they can access the files on the server and upload them and download them with acceleration. Mobile, if you go to Google Play or iTunes, Apple iTunes, you'll find our app called FileCatalyst, and you can start download it and connect to your server and start uploading data to your server. And the SDK, well, this is where we have a lot of tools. Here we have, command line, we have Java, .NET, C++, REST, SOAP, JavaScript. The list is very, very extensive of the different integration options, and that's one of the things that we have to be mindful that we provide the file transfer, and this file transfer is very often used by other applications, and where file transfer is just one aspect of that application. So this is what we do. So let me show you here a demo of our direct product. I'm just gonna show you the server and the hot folder, so I don't spend too much time on it. So here's our server interface of FileCatalyst Direct Server. So what we see here, the first thing you see is all the users connected. So these users can be either local database users, or they can be connected through Active Directory or LDAP or a database, external database, but there's a number of ways to have your users connected. Each user has a specific path pointing to where those files should be dropped when this particular user connects to the server. So the server, the end user will only, when they connect, they all will just see just /, because the rest of this path is hidden from them. So because the administrator decides where the files go for this user, but when the user connects, they'll just see the /. You can create that. You can also create users that map to cloud storage server. So for example, I could say that this user's home directory is on Amazon S3, and then in this way I can specify the connectivity to Amazon clouds. Another interesting option here is the virtual files and folders. So imagine I have 3 users, I want them to share one folder all together. So I can create a virtual folder. So a folder that resides in a completely different part of the path, um, uh, but uh, yet it can be visible by um, uh, to many people through, for example, I'll pick here temp, and I can make this virtual folder. And now this virtual folder, I can now make assignments who gets to see this folder. So I can go to users and group and I can say that this user has only read and write to this folder. So like this, I can have one folder shared by many users with different read and write permissions. I can also group these into create a group. So I can have, let's say, a post-production group that automatically, when the user is part of post-production group, they get access to 5 different folders with 5 different permissions. So I can quickly create whole systems of users depending on what the role is. Another interesting thing on the server that I wish to mention is that the server also is an FTP server and an SFTP server as well as a FileCatalyst server. So you can, with one tool now, you can provide all the file transfer. Of course, if someone connects with SFTP or FTP, just plain regular FTP client, or FTPS client, then they will not get the acceleration. But all the reporting and all the management, everything else works. So this is it's a nice part for those clients that really don't want to move from whatever client application they're using. They want to continue using their FileZilla, for example. Well, they can still use it with FileCatalyst server without the acceleration, but with at least then you as the administrator have the management tools that help you in file movement. There's also, I'm not going to get too much into it, but there's this new link feature which we released actually last fall, and the link feature allows me to create links to files on my server and share them via email. So if I have a file sitting on a user's home directory, I can select it, and this file will then be shared with a link. A special download link will be generated, and the instructions will be sent to the user with how to download and how to install the plugin and to get it. So this is something new. It's a quick way of creating linking to files and sharing files that are residing right on the FileCatalyst server. So that's on the server side. Now let me show you the client side. So once again, we have several clients. I'm just showing you the hot folder and the direct today because it's an introduction, but we can definitely go more in depth on other products. But this should give you an idea whether this product can fit within your organization. So what's a hot folder? Hot folder allows you to create, first of all, a site. So the site being the FileCatalyst server, and the site is identified by an IP address or domain name, of course, and here's the user and password. This is the same user as I showed you before on the server side. I can select which folder now I want to manipulate locally. So in this once again could be UNC paths. So if you have a folder on a network storage, I can easily create here using / notation a folder on a Samba share. These folders then, these sites and these folders are put together into a task. And a task can do several things. Well, first of all, you can assign it a name, give it the which hot folder you want to manipulate and which site, and whether you wish to do an upload or a download. And you can now set up a schedule. So for now, I just have it set up as user triggered because I'm doing a demo, but normally you would set that, let's see, start at midnight every day to do the file transfer. I can specify, as I mentioned, that slider with aggression, how aggressive you want us to be with your file transfer. Do you want me to take the full link or just partial link? And once again, because you can schedule it, you could say, well, this task runs in the middle of the night. I'm going to give it the most speed it can get. We have an MD5 checksum. So when we're sending a file, we can send a file with a temporary file name and rename it after MD5 passes. MD5 will do a bit-by-bit comparison of the file on the destination and source. And if the checksum passes, then the file is renamed to the real name. and you can now use it. So it's very simple for you to detect which files are done and which files are still going. Multi-client, you can send, it's how many workers you want to use. So here you have to be a bit more careful because you can set that to whatever you want. Let's say you're sending an entire directory. You could say, well, I want 5 working threads. So that means that 5 files will be sent simultaneously from the directory to give you even better speed. You can also archive smaller files. If the files are under 10 megs, well, then we can bundle them together into smaller archives and use the multi-client to send sort of like one file, but combine one file, many files combined into a single file, which gives you much better speed, because now you're not waiting to establish a connection for every small file. You just make one connection, the connection stays open, and everything gets streamed through that connection. So that's with multi-client, you can create several concurrent file transfers from one file set. Where we also have in the product here, and this is something that we're unique in our product, we have something called file deltas. So imagine I send version 1 of a file. Version 2 was slightly changed, not all of it. Of course, if the entire file changed, then the deltas don't help. But if the file was only partially changed, well, now we can detect those partial changes and only send the deltas. So let's say the original file was 1 gig, the new file is 1.1 gig. We will just send that 0.1 gig over the wire and rebuild the file. Of course, we have compression built in, but most people today transferring data on the internet will compress their stuff already, but we do have compression built in as well. Dynamic files. So this is for really our media clients, especially the live production and sports production clients. So imagine ability to send files that are still growing. So a camera is capturing a file. The file is dropped somewhere on storage. That file is growing. We can grab this file and start sending it. And in essentially, we're going to be chasing the tail of the file to always catch to the end of it. And then once again, we have lots of rules and exceptions how you want to deal with the growing files. You can say transfer only files that are between 0 and 1 meg, for example. So you can make smaller file a task. You can have another task that will send the larger files. And we have also synchronization option built in. So if you want to do a mirroring or a sync, this is actually built in right into the direct product here. You can create mirror sites with for offsite disaster recovery, for example, or for mirroring even your web content to different parts of the world. And post task, well, what to do after the transfer? Do we delete the files? Do we move it to a send folder? We can call a URL, send an email, and a whole bunch of other options. So if I execute this transfer here, you can see sort of this is the progress window that you're getting. So you can see your speed. Once again, this is end users always interface just with the folder. They drop a file and the file goes. You don't even have to look at this interface, but this kind of gives you the details exactly, like how much time there's left, what speed you're getting. You have a graph and you can view the resources that the application is taking. So for example, if you're transferring files, you're not happy with the speed, you can see here, for example, if your hard drive is struggling to write at the sufficient speed, well, then you can see this in the graph here. So these are some of the options you have on viewing the file transfer. So that's on the hot folder. I mean, hot folder has a lot more options. I'm not going to go through them all as this introduction. For example, I can say Monday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Go very slow. I could say something like that. So in the after hours, go fast. During the business hours, go slow. So you can specify all of that to match your business needs. So that's direct. Here are some other pictures of our other products, the transfer agent product, which I'm going to show you in a minute in our workflow presentation, and here are the mobile apps. So workflow. So what is workflow? So workflow, imagine it is a web-based portal for all your file transfer needs, whether you wish to ingest or receive files from your customers, or you want to send out files to other people using links or just sending like an email link. Um, the ingest portion has some automation built into it. For example, you can execute a script or trigger a specific email to the specific user when someone submits a file. But you can do some automation with the ingest side. On the distribution, of course, it's easier. It's just you're sending an email link to someone to receive the file. You have a very tight control of where the files go from whom. So for example, from this user, from user A, you want the files to go to NAS B, and from user C, you want the files go to a completely different part of the NAS. You can create these rules with workflow. And you have also, you can match your entire corporate branding. So everything is brandable and customizable, the entire look and feel of the application. So you can change it and make it look like your own product or your own website. So let me go here. I'll show you a sample use case. So here I'm going to log in as a regular user to workflow. When I log in, I see the previous file transmissions I've done. Now I'm just going to click on New Job. As I mentioned, there's the type of a job that is called an ingest or a distribution. I'm going to just show you a distribution, which is going to be an email distribution. I'm going to type in my email. As you can see, there's an autocomplete for my address book. The address book is syncable with LDAP and Active Directory, and of course the entire application is also syncable with Active Directory or LDAP. So it makes it simple to import all the users, and I can put a message here. And now I'll just click on upload to upload the files I want to send to the specific user. So as you can see here, what happened, my FileCatalyst transfer agent launched. I'm asked here for a permission to whether I want to allow this web page to use my transfer agent. See, this is the plugin here running on the system tray. It will show me all the active transfers, and now I'm actually within the transfer agent, and I can send files. I can select files, or if I want, I can also select entire directories to upload. So, and the directories are persistent, so when the recipient comes in and starts downloading, they'll keep the entire structure of this folder I selected for them. The system also is built in with a basic uploader, meaning the uploader that doesn't require a plugin. That's an HTTP based uploader. It doesn't require, as I mentioned, doesn't require a plugin, so it's nice and quick to use, but it is prone to errors and latency because it is HTTP is TCP based. But as long as you're using the transfer agent here, the plugin, you're in the acceleration mode. So now I'm just going to click on start uploading, and this will start transferring the files. The nice part is while the upload is happening, I could close my web browser. And if I close my web browser, the user will still get the files because the transfer agent is still running in the system tray, and continuously will continue to upload this because this job got submitted to that user. So now I'm just going to fire up my email client here to illustrate how what email notifications I get. So here I kind of just made everything is hypothetical, so it's the same user sending files back to themselves, and actually the administrator of the system is also the same user. So I got 3 emails. One is to the administrator, one is to the recipient or recipient of the file with the link, and here's the confirmation email sent to the sender. So I'm just gonna go here, grab the because I'm running localhost, I'm not running this on the server. I'm just gonna grab the tracking number. I'm gonna log out here, enter the tracking number, and now I can grab the files that have been sent to me from that user. So as you can see here on the download side, I can download each file individually with either UDP or HTTP. Once again, HTTP doesn't require any plugins. UDP and the download all files button does. I'm just going to click on download all files, and now you can see everything being transferred. I can just click here, reveal download location, and this makes, here are the files. So here's my folder I sent, and here are the 3 regular files within the folder, and all of this ended up in my John Downloads folder. So that's the workflow in a nutshell. I mean, there's a lot more to it, and administration and configuration wise, you can really you know, get a lot of reports from it. You can manage your users. You have your Active Directory and LDAP. You can connect it to several FileCatalyst servers and let the users select which server they want to drop the files on. Lots of different workflow, and there's also the execution of scripts after the transfer, but this kind of gives you an idea what it does. And finally, Central. So Central, I have a tab here open. So here's my FileCatalyst Central. Again, it's a web-based console. I'm going to just show you here quickly. I have my 3 nodes. Node 1, of course, is being my central. The hot folder, which I already showed you a demo of. And if I click on the hot folder here, I get all the information coming in from that hot folder running there, including the hot folders, the sites. I can launch a remote administration of that hot folder and administer this hot folder remotely for my specific needs. Same thing on a server. I can click here and I can see the users and the groups, and once again I have remote administration as well of the server or the hot folders. In terms of transfers, what does it show me? Well, it shows me a lot of things. It shows me right now I have no transfers, but I can go into session history and will show me all the transfers going through the history. I can search now. Let's say I want to search for all MOV files. Where is it? .mov. So anyways, I can search by full file names, and here I can just show you. I'll click into details of one session. So I think maybe I have to do start.mov. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't remember how to search, but there's a full search here for the file names. Oh, here's the search records. Okay, the other one is just a filter. This one is the search records here. So here I can search by, you know, my sessions, my file, or the files, and say, give me all the MOV files being transferred. Give me all the files that were over a gig of transfer, for example. Search by specific username or specific destination. You have all this search, and all this is kept in a database. You can configure in this database how much time you want to retain it for. Of course, retention is actually quite. It could potentially a gigs and gigs of data in your database, because if you're transferring, you have a large system with hundreds or thousands of files being transferred daily. Well, this is going to grow very quickly. So you can specify the retention of the database. In terms of alarms, so the Central can notify you if something goes wrong. So for example, if a service, a hot folder goes down, you can specify what to do. Do you want to send out an email? So an alarm could be either an email or it could be an SNMP trap. If you enable SNMP, then those messages will be passed forward to your SNMP manager enterprise network enterprise management software, so you can see it in there. If it's just email, well, then it's just going to be regular emails being sent out, but that's something you can configure here. So that's Central in a nutshell. Let me just finish here my presentation. So here's another quote what we've done with Travel Channel with work. We've been working with them too as well for quite a few years, and And so just to mention the cloud. So if you want to move data to the cloud, you will have to install the FileCatalyst server in, for example, on AWS. And then from there, you would create a direct connection to your S3 bucket. Same idea comes with Microsoft Windows Azure, and similar with OpenStack. But we have connectivity, native connectivity to these, but it's important that the storage is closed, so you have to usually put the server on the cloud for those occasions where you need to move the files to the cloud. You can, of course, deploy all of this to a private server and just map a cloud network drive. Then you're not going to get the speed, but it is flexible to do that. And so I'm just going to go through. So we've been in the media space. This was actually our 10th NAB that we attended this year. So we've been at 10 NABs already. And if you want to see here, we've integrated our software with a number of partners or other technology vendors in this space. So if you're, example, already using certain components or certain solutions from some of these vendors, we have already a native integration for them. This makes it very easy to interconnect your systems with FileCatalyst. This is really what it is. It's moving large data, large media files, and interconnect your, let's say, your quality control with Playout and so on, or with your asset management or MAM. Connect your MAM with the Playout. These are the integration type of things we've worked a lot in the past. So really, if you want to transfer files up to 10 gigabits, we've been doing this for quite some time. In summary, I think we're the first vendor that back in 2011 started transferring files at 10 gigs. We have a number of 10 gigabit deployments, and we do this with a single file, single stream. Not that we have to do 3 or 4 files to achieve 10 gigabits. We do it with one. Our solutions are very modular. The pricing is very flexible, meaning you could either buy a full solution with unlimited users and unlimited deployments, or you can just buy something very small, a la carte, what we call, where you can buy, just 5 concurrent connections and a small server for a very specific use case, and grow it from there. So you can really just buy what you need. You get also a lot of functionality within one product. Some competing products, sometimes you have to buy 4 or 5 different products to get what you, let's say, get with Direct. So it's a very it's a very multi-functional tool compared to others in the market. Our team is very agile. I mean, if you have a file transfer needs, you can get a developer probably within the first, maybe the second call if you need to talk to a developer about a specific problem. So our developer is always available there. And we do a lot of trade shows as well. We will be in Amsterdam, for example, in September at IBC. So you're welcome to come to our booth or follow us on one of our social media sites, and we'll let you know once we have the booth number and all the details for Amsterdam come out in the next month or so. So that concludes the formal part of my presentation. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed it.